everybody.
What do we want to talk about first? Let's talk about Wave 5 impressions first. So we'll start with you, Michael. You haven't spent a lot of time at all with Wave 5, really, other than the 2 times that we've live streamed and played today. So what are your impressions of Wave 5?
Right off the bat, a lot of green.
A lot of green?
There's a lot of green in this wave, which is great. There's more options to cycle through in Cycle 4. It also seems very aggro/damage based as opposed to defense centric. I don't see a lot of blue. I see a few defense options, but it's definitely more like attack, and so much green.
Well, this is something that you guys were saying from the...
Yeah, we ran a sealed tournament, a release sealed tournament yesterday. It's just 6 people. Wasn't big, but the store gave us prize support and all that good stuff that we play out of.
You guys were saying not much blue.
And like opening up the six packs, for booster packs. I mean, I think I had a total of 3 blue, maybe 4 blue pips in my deck total that I built out of the 6 packs, and that wasn't for want of lack of blue. It's just there just wasn't any.
Yeah, same here. I only had 2 blues, and I used 1 in my battle deck. I was mostly seeing black pips.
Yeah, a lot of black pips. Of my 25 card deck, I think 9 of them were blacks.
Yeah.
So,
which is...
Well, and we'll talk about it a little bit later because we're going to have a conversation about blue specifically. So, transition pretty nice. What about you, Wes? Anything else from Wave 5 from first impressions for you?
So, I definitely see there's a lot more direct damage.
Right.
And the direct damage is also coming in several different forms now.
Yep.
It's coming from, there's a lot of move damage stuff, and then we have things like magnetic dysfunction ray, those kind of things that
precision
fire,
horrible quake.
Yeah, I see a lot of and I see a lot of people in the online community when it comes to like some of the online tournaments and stuff like that. We see a lot of those characters that are kind of like horrible, that does that direct damage and stuff. So I see there's a lot of direct damage in this set. That's whereas direct damage in the past was either very pinpointed, like 1 point, 2 point kind of thing to one character. And now we're seeing, like magnetic dysfunction ray is, it does effectively, if you're playing all Autobots and your opponent plays magnetic dysfunction ray and they're playing all Decepticons, you just dished out 9 points of damage. Yeah. If you're 3 wide on both sides.
Well, it'd be 6 because it's 1 for each and then 1 total, so it'd be 6. But that's still an insane amount.
Well, 1 to each. Each character takes 1.
Right.
And then each Autobot takes an extra.
Right.
So that's, if you have 3 Autobots, that's 6 damage, and you've done 3 damage to yourself. So you've dished out 9 points of direct damage.
It's a lot
in one turn for a an orange.
One action.
Yeah, in one action, orange black. Whereas Photon Bomb, is a blank.
Yeah.
And it deals 2 to everybody. Yeah. So you now have an orange black card that does effectively a very similar kind of thing that's not a blank.
Yeah.
So that's, I'm seeing, like I said, direct damage is something I'm seeing a lot more of. And I think, honestly, I feel like it's a bit of because of the nature of the card, because it's pipped, that's a power creep. Yeah. I can't say whether or not it should have been blank, but
I think the thing is, I think it should have not had black orange battle icons for sure. It makes it almost, why not play it? You know what I mean? And that's where I start to have issues with it. It's like it becomes too obvious of a card to throw into a deck. Why not? Especially if you're going up against Autobots, then it becomes a win on top of that.
Which is funny because before Wave 5 with limited exceptions, Shockwave primarily, people were playing Autobots, and now it's looking like, at least online through the online tournaments that are running, people are playing Decepticons and have left the Autobots way in the dust.
Agree.
And I think cards like magnetic dysfunction,
Sky Shadow. There's a lot of stuff that's Autobot hate specifically in Wave 5.
And it's not to say that the Autobots that kind of card imbalance should I shouldn't say imbalance, that kind of support shouldn't exist, because it should. I mean, Autobots, when you've listened to interviews and talked to like Drew Nolasco and things like that, they always state, well, the good guys always win, kind of thing. But it's not fun in a card game environment if you set up where the bad guys are always going to lose. So if you're playing Decepticons and you always lose, then why would you ever play Decepticons? So I get wanting to support so both sides have equal chances. And I'm sure as we continue on playing and stuff, we're going to see, some things arise that are like, oh, no, it's okay. We can get back to playing Autobots again, maybe not safely, but, make them still competitive. So like I said, direct damage, and obviously I think a shift in the cards on how you play, on how you might want to play the game, not how you should, but how you might.
Yeah.
So,
what about you, Jason?
Well, I'm with Mike. I mean, yesterday was the first time I actually played any Transformers in months. Yeah. So it was nice to see something different. I mean, just like everybody else, I got my box, ripped it all open, put stuff together, and just like, okay, I got stuff.
Just
what am I going to do with it?
Yeah, it sat there.
So yeah, I mean, I agree with Wes. It's nice to see a lot of these new cards and a lot of non-attack damage. And speaking with you, Jamie, earlier, like I want to come up with a deck called One for Me, One for You. Yeah. So I'll take one, you take one, and I feel like secretly there's something hidden in that you can win games.
Well, if you can just out attrition your opponent, you have more health. You're just on board gonna win.
And I kind of want to try to figure that out.
Yeah.
And win something, but we'll see what happens. But I mean, I like the set. I agree with Wes that Decepticons got a lot of love this set. We'll see what happens in the future, though. I mean, I kind of want to see Mercs get something. Yeah. Kind of balance it out now. So maybe Mercs and then Autobots get some love in the next set, and then that will kind of balance everything out. And then we'll see what happens in the future from there.
My question is, with everything going on as far as with Autobots, do you think Press the Advantage could come back and be good again and not be so overpowered? Because there's so much hate for Autobots, it could balance? Because the thing is, it's no longer as oppressive as it used to be.
Yeah,
and I think it gives support back to Autobots, because from the online world, what I've played online and what we've seen, Autobots are definitely on the back foot, which I don't think is bad. They had a lot of shine in the light. I'm okay with Decepticons getting a lot of love. I really am.
Basically 4 waves of Autobots being
right.
You everyone basically played any kind of variation. Sure, you could splash into Decepticon here and there, but it was primarily
Well, one of the big pushes for Press was that it forced you to almost just play Autobots because it made more sense at the time. Well, now when Autobots aren't really getting a lot of bump, could playing one Autobot and bringing that card back be good enough?
I think it's something worth opening up to test.
Right.
I think it's. I think if the Wizards team wants to take a look at it and play some of these, what are kind of cranking out as the current top of the rung Decepticon decks, and playing Press the Advantage against them, in some other with some decks, and see if it does actually make a difference. I mean, if it balances the scales a little bit,
right?
I mean, and it doesn't swing Autobots back into dominance.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because then the card deserves to stay where it's at. If out of curiosity, if it could give it that push to where you're like now not afraid, and you're like, oh, I can play this one Autobot because I can have this one press for this one turn. Is that enough?
I don't know. I think it's worth investigating, looking into. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we can do some local testing.
I mean, just tell Jeff. He always has it in his deck anyway.
Just unban it for the rest of the year and see how it goes. Because there's no official tournament. Yeah. So if you unban it for the...
There might be one. There's
a possibility.
There's still with the Origins being delayed
There's
until
still
the fall, and then PAX Unplugged still not currently canceled.
Yep, it's on the table.
There could be some big tournaments still, this year. It's going to be...
It's a maybe.
It's a maybe.
Yeah, so why not? right?
I'm apparently the odd one out here because as valid and as strong as these arguments are, I 100% do not want that card to come back. I think it's too strong. I still think it's too strong and too oppressive. If it was just an orange pip or if it was just a green pip, maybe. But the fact that it's green and orange and does it until end of turn, that's huge.
Yeah, no, it's definitely
huge.
It's definitely
Now, if
strong.
it said end of battle, maybe. But at the same time, again, valid arguments on this table. And Decepticons are definitely strong right now, but I think they deserve to be right now. Like, again, as we've said, like, Decepticons haven't had any limelight, so to speak, and the creators have said on a couple of occasions, oh no, this set is the set. The Decepticons are going to get what they need and have all this love, and then they're just trounced on.
They jerked you.
Like, this set is the set where Decepticons are definitely in the limelight. It's just, is it almost too much in one go?
It's funny.
It's a pendulum swing, this set, for sure.
It's funny. I feel like some of these cards should have been in Wave 4.
Yep.
Some of the things should have been Wave 4 because that would have been the love that the Decepticons would have needed because, Siege Part 2 is about Megatron being on top.
Yep.
The box art's him on his throne.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting. But I digress.
Yep.
They didn't do it in Wave 4. They did this in Wave 5, and that's fine.
Like I said, I think it's an interesting point of topic.
I like I do like the Titan Masters.
Love them.
Because they changed the tempo of the game.
And the sequencing gets thrown off quite a bit, a lot. And we've seen it in a lot of games where you're like, oh, I've got this. And then you're like, oh, wait, now he has an untapped character. Hold on. Wait a minute.
There's a head. I forgot about the head.
Yeah.
I forgot twice yesterday playing. I was like, oh, I forgot I have a head.
Yeah.
Then attack.
Yeah, it makes things very, very different for sure. It's very interesting. So, yeah, Wave 5's launch has been very different. I mean, and it's also really strange because we don't have any tournaments going on. Technically, at this point, I think we would have already gone to Origins or been preparing.
Origins would have been
June, right?
It would have been this month, and
Right.
we'd be heading out like next week.
Right. Okay. So yeah, as of last year, we would have been testing hardcore and getting ready for Origins, and then now instead of us doing that, we're not really diving into the hardcore. We're more of exploring it, which is gonna obviously bring up different results than trying to go, okay, well, we're heading to Origins. We know Sky Shadow's here. We know Galaxy's here. Let's test against this. Let's play this, and really like playing hard meta.
Well, not only that, we'd be prepping for the next wave release probably too,
Yep.
because they right after Origins is probably they'd start the spoiler season for Wave 6, which would have dropped right before Gen Con.
Yep.
Which, well, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Which leads me to believe my predictions are Wave 6 will be the only other release this year. I don't think we're gonna get. I don't think we're gonna get 2 waves this year.
I'm guessing October would probably be the new November will probably be that space.
It's probably gonna be end of October, early November,
Yep.
only because that'll give us, if Origins takes place, it'll give us a major tournament with Wave 5, and then if PAX Unplugged takes place, it'll give us a major tournament with Wave 6.
Yep. It'll be a reset before the big tournament.
So,
which the tournament things are all interesting. So I mean, I'll say we have some stuff in the works, but that's for a conversation later on. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't participated in any of the online tournaments like the Corona Cups or anything like that. It's weird to say that, with everyone basically, a lot of people staying home and things like that, which I'm not. I'm working from home, so I'm actually as busy as I was before. So it feels weird. I don't have the time to dedicate to, usually doing those personally.
Right.
I mean, I could be, or I could just be being grumpy and ignoring them and me.
I was one of those fortunate, lucky few that, as far as work related, was not affected in any way. I have continued to work at my current job throughout the tenure of this whole crisis, which has been a godsend. I won't deny it. But it would have been nice to have a little bit of time to maybe explore a little bit more. But again, not complaining because I've been able to continue working and getting a paycheck and keeping strong, which is nice.
I mean, it's kind of the damned if you do, damned if you don't. Situation. So, it is.
But I was one of the lucky few.
Yeah. So since we were talking about like blue kind of showing up in this wave, there's a
Or
lot of
lack
people
thereof.
who believe blue is dead. It's been the big conversation online, I know for sure. I have a very different view on that, but we'll start with you. What do you think, Michael, as far as like blue's situation?
It's dire.
Yeah.
I won't deny it. And that maybe it's just my take. And again, I don't explore as much or in depth as
Right.
all three of these guys at the table. But it just with the heavy orange and definitely with just the heavy Pierce, like it just seems blue is.
It's in critical condition.
It's in critical. It's not nearly as good as it was for sure. Wave 1, Wave 2. Pierce changed the dynamic in a big way, and Pierce has continued to become progressively, albeit at a slower pace, but progressively stronger as time has gone.
Well, part of the reason for that is they're trying to. They had 2 waves that came out with no Pierce in it, and
games lasted forever.
and then now we have, and then 3 more waves have come out. They're trying to balance Pierce as a pip color,
yeah,
right,
with the existing orange and blue.
They want the same.
Which I understand. And again, they had and I get speeding up gameplay and so on and so forth. Like I get all of that. But it's really tough when you're on the side of the board with a blue deck and you're like, all right, I'm blocking 7. They're like, yeah, well, take 12 Pierce 7. And you're like, well, that's cool. I guess I'll just take 7 damage that I supposedly blocked them.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I understand those are outliers and rare instances, but again, progressively, it's becoming a more and more common thing, and it's like, oof.
Yeah.
But as I mentioned, as I mentioned earlier, there are other avenues for defense that can bypass that. But as far as like blue specifically, it's in a rough spot, in my opinion.
What about you, Wes?
So we here in Colorado tend to build blue a lot. We explore blue shells. We explore those things like pretty commonly. I mean, not to say that we don't also do the bold things and all that, because we do.
Super Bold Sunday.
Right. But I don't think blue is dead. I don't think blue is on life support. I think blue just needs to. I think the people who play blue, or who like to play blue, need to reevaluate how they what they play. Which brings me to, I think, the developers. I think the WotC design team is kind of always sitting on the mixed pip kind of philosophy. I think you need to start looking at.
I back it up 100%.
I think blue-black is the general way you should probably build things.
Yeah.
And I think, having things like tough, having things like that, they are still viable. They still matter. Mm-hmm. It's just sometimes their impact is lessened because of Pierce. Mm-hmm. But I think there needs to be, my only thing I think there needs to be is a little more stable coverish type response. Not, like another card that's similar to stable cover.
Right.
Not necessarily the same as stable cover, but something that, helps with the occasional, you can't shut down Pierce every turn, but you can shut it down
one turn.
It's like point defense system. It just reduces it by 2.
Right.
It doesn't stop it. It just reduced.
So I think the people who play blue just need to start reevaluating how they build blue. Like a static blue shell is not nearly as viable as it used to be, but a static blue-black shell, I think, has a much higher viability and survival rate versus a standard blue deck. So I think blue just needs to start. You need to branch out and start finding things again. Like stable cover is a great thing to toss into your blue deck.
There's no downside.
There's no
+1
downside.
Defense.
Especially if and it could be just a sideboard card, because depending on what you're standing up against. Because if you're going up against just a heavy, because people still build orange shells.
Oh yeah.
So it's not necessarily needed against every matchup. But I think just blue needs to change its the people who play blue need to start changing their thought process on what they play on and how they play that and what they load their decks with to combat what they're seeing.
Yeah. What about you, Jason? Because I know you're more of a orange guy.
I am.
Naturally. So
honestly, I haven't been keeping up on what's going on the groups and what you guys do online since the whole lockdown stuff. Yeah. I've been busy. Yeah. Nobody knows except for you guys that I'm working HR, so I've been doing services and
the busiest time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Companies are trimming fat basically, so that's what I've been doing. So it's hard for me to keep up. I mean, after work, I'm beat.
Yeah.
Any free time
mentally fried.
Yeah, mentally fried. Any free time I have, I play video games. I finished Final Fantasy VII remake. Yeah. And then I'm playing Horizon Zero Dawn right now.
Oh, that game's so good.
So good.
So good.
So yeah, I mean...
So we're going to go off tangent, but did anybody watch the preview for Horizon
the PS5? 2? Yeah, I've seen it.
Amazing. That's all I'm going to say.
I did see, which I'll try to put a picture on the screen, someone photoshopped the new PlayStation with Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh's head, and it looks just like his suit with his coat. It's freaking amazing. Amazing.
And if every time I turn my PS5 on, it says... Yugi boy, Yugi boy.
Yeah, pretty funny. It looked super.
Oh, that's not Kaiba.
That's
the other
Pegasus.
Guy. That's Pegasus. Yeah.
So I honestly haven't.
No, then it just screams at you. That's what the Kaiba station needs to do.
Yugi.
Any information on Transformers I get from you guys from our Facebook group, and then I just read it and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, you said earlier, Jamie, the whole Sky Shadow Horrible thing. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? This is a good deck? I'm like, okay. Read it, saw it, then put my phone down, did my own stuff.
Yeah. Just a good deck.
Oh, turn through your deck. Cool. Yeah.
So you don't have enough...
I don't have enough information to give a real solid opinion on it.
I'll weigh in. I think blue is still very strong. And a lot like Wes was saying, I think people just need to shift and build it differently. I know that in the Alpha Trion tournament that they're having right now, there is a couple of blue decks that are in top. I know Corona Cup, the second place person was running a heavy blue deck. So I think it's just a matter of changing what you're trying to do with it. Instead of you playing reinforced plating for Tough 2, you go with one of the rock, paper, scissors armors that can give you built-in Tough 2 by itself. You don't have to worry about trying to flip so much blue. Stable cover, obviously fantastic. And hostilities, going to be really good. If you're running heavy black, then you go with Concealing Contrails, which also gets around belligerence. I think there's just, you need to make a shift in how you specifically are building it to fight against certain stuff. I don't know if heavy tough trying to flip 10 blues is going to be enough anymore. It might just be you need to get 4 blues and just survive that one combat to then move on. So I think also part of it comes down to a huge part in development. They don't want games to go for a long period of time. So, like, we don't have those heavy blue matches up where people are just poking each other for 50 minutes.
And they're always going to time and, I understand the want to, make sure we get you can get potentially 3 games in 50 minutes.
Now, I also think that this opens up the door development-wise for them to be able to create something to battle Pierce. They're going to let Pierce come out this wave, really push the meta. People are going to have to change their decks pretty drastically, and then the next wave, maybe they'll come out with a pip that stops it.
What about a red pip that stops it?
Something like that. Or if they come up with a new battle card, or a new character even that just says it can't take pierce damage.
Like Jazz, a new Jazz that's just like, screw you.
No pierce. Yeah, give Jazz a stratagem that says that your opponent can't use pierce, and then now he becomes really good. It gives them the ability.
You don't understand how much I would like to see either a new Jazz,
right,
or a stratagem for a Jazz that makes. Oh man,
I think a stratagem is going to be the thing he'll see.
Yeah.
So I really do.
Well, and I hope we see a new Jazz. I'm sorry,
right.
I want to see a new Jazz.
I agree. So, a lot of people do.
There's a lot of characters. There's still a lot of G1 characters that we haven't seen. I mean, and that's the thing is there's.
I think Wizards is just trying to like sprinkle it out, so it's not just like
boom, here you go.
I mean? Yeah,
but there's still man,
especially characters that a lot of people like. Like Braun was one of them that so many people wanted to see earlier, and he just now is getting seen in Wave 5. You know what I mean? Like I think it's totally fine.
What I think is interesting is they're taking those what used to be called the
mini bots.
The mini bots in the toy line, and so we've seen Warpath.
Yep.
We've seen Brawn now. We've seen Cosmos. We've seen Bumblebee.
Yep.
We've seen now Cliffjumper, Windcharger. Most of those characters are actually good. Like, you know,
absolutely.
they like, and you know, so they were like the easiest Transformers to attain when you were younger, and you know, and they were the smallest guys, but they were, you know, as they've slowly trickled them out, you know, they've made them
playable.
pretty good. Except, you know, it's weird. Bumblebee has kind of like shifted, like, you know, so you see Brawn 5 stars, Cosmos, okay, he's 12 stars. I mean, but
11.
11. Sorry, yeah, 11.
You're good.
12.
You're good.
12 was strategy.
Everyone's playing him at 12 now. Don't worry.
You know, but you see most of the smaller guys are in the 5 to 6 range. Which
Bumblebee, who's
he's like well, he has some 5 ranges, who's awful.
the 5 is bad. The 6 isn't that bad.
Well, it depends on the 6 you're talking about.
The Wave 1 starter.
Yeah, he's okay. He's good.
Pretty.
I actually like him.
Yeah.
But you know, he's also a 10-star character,
Right. Yeah. Now
which I think is hilarious.
We have 2 10 stars.
Because he's, you know, Bumblebee, I guess, and they're like, let's make him badass. But anyway,
Lieutenant B.
no, but I agree with you, Jamie. I like you know.
Yeah.
Blue's not dead. Blue just needs to. People who play Blue just need to re-strategize.
I mean, like Shockwave is still perfectly acceptable. He's still fantastic. You can build Sky Shadow Blue. Perceptor does really good blue. Like, there's definitely stuff out there. It may be a narrower list of things that are blue acceptable, rather than like before you can go, I'm going to play these characters and just play it blue. That may not work anymore. You may just have to go, okay, this character is just good, or like he has built-in tough. I don't have to worry about playing in armor anymore. He just has it.
Yeah.
I think that's just the route to go. So, I mean, yeah. I'll be showing you guys a list that I have today, but it's perfectly mixed, and I defend for 12 and I attack for 12, and like I think it's perfectly acceptable, and there's not many things that can compete with it, and it's just because it's built to do blue or get the blue when you need it, not every turn.
Or unless you're me, and then you'll flip blues. You'll literally flip blues on attack every time.
Yeah. Well, this new version you won't miss.
That is a shout out. Blues
won't
on
miss.
attack. You guys are are sweet.
Yeah. Okay, so since we're talking about kind of revisiting older waves and some other stuff, we'll talk about you, because I know you played something today that was definitely revisiting a Wave 1 character.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of ideas do you guys have for Wave 1, or which previous waves that are kind of forgotten about at this point?
Ooh.
Well, you can talk about what you played today. I think it's fine.
Right. Well, a couple of them. One of and we got some good gameplay with it, is Cosmos. I ran a Cosmos deck. If you've seen any of our previous content, I have run it a couple of times before. Upgraded it with the new Wave 5 stuff and the new stratagem, and oh dear Lord.
It's solid.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah.
He's
I mean,
good.
anything under 21 stars is just gone.
Anything under 21.
I mean, I think he's 21 and under, right?
Yeah, 21 and under.
under.
Yeah,
Anyone
so
21 or under.
There's 5 characters that survive.
Yeah, so there's not a lot.
Yeah.
So it turns him into a very viable character. Would I say competitive? It's close, but certainly viable and certainly a lot of fun. I did today. I did an all in orange aggro version of it. Previously, I did a mixed, and the aggro orange I thought did pretty well. I thought about doing an all blue, but as we've discussed it, and again, kind of plug it into what we were just talking about earlier, blue may not be as viable for it. There are certainly some options, but as far as
you lose your win condition.
Exactly. As far as what the deck was doing when I was playing it, it was really solid.
Yeah.
Some characters that I'd like to go back and revisit, Dinobots, both Wave 1 and Wave 2.
I'll talk about that.
I'm sure you will.
I will.
I'm sure you will. But Wave 1 Dinobots, I'd like to go back in just because I think the bold is super strong right now.
I also think Grimlock is a
Orange
very
Black.
relevant character.
Oh, Grimlock's huge, especially with that built-in steamroll.
Yep.
So, good
And it's
stuff
also on top of that, because right now how triggering works.
Yep.
Yeah.
Grimlock's hits that body mode bot,
Makes the head
kills
come
it,
out.
then makes head come out,
kills
and then,
it,
and then kills
and then
it.
kills it because of the way you trigger stuff.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know?
I mean, I guess your opponent chooses where the direct goes after that, right?
Oh, that's
After-
true.
So they could
That's true.
choose-
So they could put it on
I mean,
somebody
if it's the
else.
last character though, you're still on this. You're not gonna lose the damage anymore. It still can go somewhere, which is still good.
Yeah, you're just holding on to it and waiting for
Yeah,
the
you're
right
like, wait,
moment.
wait,
yeah,
wait.
exactly.
And then dropping in, as always, because he will never stop being a monster god, is Battlefield Legend. I'm sure Wes will drop a couple hints on what he's doing with him, but just know that
I love that card.
he's dirty right now.
I mean,
he's dirty.
the more waves that come out, the more actions come out, the more cards he has a choice of.
And I
That's
wish
it.
Megatron would be the same way. I so
Oh.
do, but
I love Megatron. I want him to be like on the top.
I think
want
he's talking
to
living
be
weapon.
So
Any
living
Megatron at
I
this point for me
I
on the
do,
top.
and it just,
That's what I want to see.
The struggle is real.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Speaking of going back, they talked about that's kind of what stratagems are also partially designed for, was going back to old characters, revisiting them. Case in point, Cosmos, Cup. Me and one of the other Team Primus guys are working on a Cup deck that, needs some tweaking and revision, but we think it's going to be we think it could be a contender.
Yeah. For all you Cup Life fans out there.
Yeah, for hashtag Cup Life.
They're working on something.
We've got something where I've seen it happen where you can get a turn with Cup where Cup's rolling out for 19 damage in a hit, maybe more depending on what you get. I mean,
depends on the Christmas.
It depends on the Christmas. I mean, the thing is, it is a slightly Christmas land deck, except I'm just gonna say Springer really helps make it less so.
Yeah, anytime you need a digger combo, Springer's the guy that you just pull out. You're just like, all right, automatic.
So I mean, I like I said, I've seen it crank out 19 damage in a turn, kills a guy, untaps, cranks out another 19 damage, kills a guy, untaps.
Yeah.
So not to say that it's not impossible. It's just like I said, we're building on it. We're working on it.
Yeah.
Battlefield Legend, he's a character that I've definitely I continue to visit.
Yeah, I mean, you just updated a recent one that focuses around secret actions essentially, and
so I've updated it again.
oh, okay, well there you go. And I mean, he gets access to being able to go get end hostilities every turn or whatever else your case is, belligerence every turn, like.
Yeah. So I've updated him again, and he's not 100% surrounded by secret actions, but secret actions definitely do help out.
Yeah.
But I've keyed into mainly my playstyle. The way my playstyle works, I've made changes that are like, you know what, this wasn't working for me.
Yeah.
Let me try this. Oh, you know what, this is work better for me. Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know if we'll have an opportunity to play that, but
Yeah, I mean, just because something is meta for some people doesn't mean it is for others. So, like, you can look at a deck and go, oh, well, that deck performs really well. It doesn't mean you're going to perform really well with it. It may not match your play style, so.
So, Wave 1, the only other... I'm trying to think. I mean, there's a few characters we've seen, like Kevin has a Sunstorm stuff that could be devastating.
King Starscream. Now that's King Starscream got that stratagem. Yeah, he's got a really good list for it now. The card's really good.
Saw a really good cards deck today from somebody.
Yeah, you did.
So like a ridiculously good cards deck. And again, that's with some updates, but it still harkens back to Wave 1 and 2 characters.
Oh yeah, we went through the deck and there's like 4 cards, and I think it's a total of like 7 cards in total that aren't Wave 1.
Yeah.
That's how solid it is with what is just already out there.
Yeah.
And then Jason dropped down a Wave 1 Jetfire today.
Yeah, but I didn't do good against this secret cars deck. I got whooped in
but
like
I saw
10 minutes.
But I saw the potential, though.
Yeah, it's not my list or anything like that. So, I mean, I did find it online, and I thought it was a good deck. So, it's like, okay, let's just try it out to see how it works. I mean, there's potential there.
Yeah.
I just got to figure it out. Maybe move some characters around.
Yep.
Maybe some battle cards, because it's a mixed deck. So, it didn't perform well against yours.
Right.
But we'll see. I also have a Battlefield Legend deck built, so we'll see how that goes. Nice. But I don't know. I mean,
what else do you want to visit
for Wave 1?
Well, I mean, just in general. Anything pre-5, right?
Well, I still want to revisit now with Wave 5. I want to revisit my Iron Wide deck.
The triple iron.
The triple Iron Hides. I want to revisit that. I don't know if it's going to be good, but now I can put Master Sword in that damn thing.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly,
Yeah.
couldn't really think of anything off the top of my head that I would want to revisit.
Yeah.
If I do something, I'm gonna just do it for fun.
Well, yeah, it's usually that's usually how most of our stuff starts. It's like, oh, you know what? Let me bust this character out.
That's
and
how
then,
I always start. My decks always start. Hey, let's
Yeah.
just try this and see because it seems fun.
Yeah,
and then,
Not
okay,
going to rebuild your Insecticons, or are you Insecticoned out?
No, I was thinking about doing it
Get 'em
and
out.
bringing it
Nope.
just to play against you guys for fun.
Although I will admit, Orange Black Insecticons has a lot of potential. It really does. There's a lot of cards there that really fit those characters specifically, and you could definitely replace one or two of those characters with a couple of new characters and do a lot with. But I mean,
so it wouldn't be an Insecticon deck anymore then.
it wouldn't be fully.
Yeah.
You're putting a bull in there, but yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good.
So I have to say about that.
That's how we feel about bugs, though. That's just us. Unless it's Sam's blue bugs, and then we don't like it, but we like the fact that it's not orange. So,
Yeah.
True story.
you know,
Blue bugs are a lot more. I don't know.
they're fun to watch. They're not fun to play against.
Yeah, it's very fun to watch the game, and then
that's the
when
best way
you're
to play.
actually playing the game, you're like, oh my god, this sucks.
Oh, you guys have hands? Is that how this game works? I don't have anything in my hand, so.
Right. What are hands?
Oh, I didn't even know about top decking before this deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
My hands go in this bag of chips. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So as far as revisiting characters for me, you talked about Wave 2 Dinobots. I played Volcanicus recently. I've updated the list again. I love it to death. Nothing is more fun than literally flipping so many cards that you run out of cards. The 4 attacks that he's done, I've one-shot any character I've gone into.
Until
It
you
doesn't
ru-
matter.
I don't know, man. Braun with the stratagem.
No, well, right, yeah, that is the only character that would do any bit of surviving. But the 4 times that I've swung with him, I think like the minimum damage that I've done is like 30-something damage.
Jeez.
And I don't even know if Braum would get saved because if you did it on the combined turn, you get to deal direct damage to the defender equal the number of orange pips. So like I remember when I played against Eric in the previous match that is online on the channel, I killed his Sound Blaster just on direct damage. We didn't even get to the combat.
Dang.
It was like 22 direct, just characters gone.
22
It
to
didn't
Sound
matter.
Blaster. Done.
It didn't matter. So it was really fun. And so that's an interesting one that I'll do more with and play with. There is a secret deck I don't want to talk about. You guys know it for sure, but it's something that I think can compete in the meta ridiculously well, and it's been labeled trash for wave after wave after wave. So it's been performing extremely well. So I'll eventually show that off. It's a wave 2 thing as well for most part. And then Lord Meg, I'm going to revisit Lord Meg again. I think there's still a lot of potential there, especially now with the new rulings where you can kind of choose how things get stacked. I think that is really important with his reshuffle mechanic.
Well, until they
Change it again.
change it again.
Right. And then it might make it weird again. But right now, I think it's really good for him.
The attacker being able to layer triggers is
Right. It's interesting.
It definitely changes again. It's the way it's structured is it's like it can be confusing.
Right. There's a lot of questions that pop up with it in general. But even us who play a lot, we're like,
So
I don't know.
What comes first?
What's funny is that it starts feeling like the Magic the Gathering stack.
Yes.
And that is one of those things that like turned me off of Magic.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it sometimes it's just literally labeled too confusing. And in a game like this, that was one of the things that brought me to it was the fact that it was like, okay, I get my turn, do my things. You get your turn, do your things, and we just see who wins. Whereas now you can muddle a lot of that.
There's nuance. Nuance has been
Yeah.
introduced into the game, which I don't mind nuance.
Right,
I
right.
just want to make sure that we get clear, concise rulings from the dev team. That stick. And I love the dev team tremendously. Those guys are so wonderful that they are a big part of the community. They do interviews, they answer questions and things like that. The only thing that I ever have any kind of criticism on is when they do rulings and they contradict themselves.
Yes.
And I know there's a lot of rulings out there, and I know that's why they changed how they're doing the rules roundup now.
Right.
They're not going to do it every week. I know that.
Yep.
They're going to do it in much more probably monthly fashion, which fine. Fine by me.
Especially if it's the equivalent of 4 weeklies.
It'll
You
probably
know
be,
what I mean?
It probably won't be, but it'll probably be much more disseminated. Where they're going to get probably the same question asked 80 times,
Right.
and they're going to just be able to answer that one question and everything like that, so it doesn't get answered week to week to week.
Right. Or find a specific scenario that can answer possibly 2 or 3 questions versus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only thing is I'd like to see them. I'd like to see just when they make their rulings, they don't contradict themselves. And I know they're only human.
Right.
And to be really honest, they're all working from home. They're not able to. They're not in face-to-face, contact with each other. They're, and they're in Zoom meetings and things like that. And, it's not the same. Everyone who's working from home, who's been in a Zoom meeting or been in any kind of any
Skype,
kind of like
Discord,
that, Skype,
whatever.
Discord, all that. it gets muddled. It gets, so you lose things. You just kind of like, I know I do. I'm like, listen, I'm like, wait, what you
It's one of the things that I'm glad I don't have the kind of job where I can work from home because I don't know if I would be productive. Because like at my job, I have to stay so focused and I just kind of like clock in and get lost. If I was at home, I would not be able to stay focused. I'd be like, what? Oh, let me go do this. Let me go do that. Let me go do... And then my production would...
I'm on my phone sometimes during meetings.
Right.
I'm just like...
So, but yeah, that's the only thing I really want from I'd like to see with rulings and things like that. I'd like to make sure that the devs are usually fast and they're on top of things. And I know I have complete faith in them. I don't. So people, anyone do not take this as I'm saying that they're not doing a good job. They do an amazing job.
Yeah.
But I just would as someone who would like to see just a little bit more.
Yeah. The other part that gets really strange is a lot of this stuff happened and they might not have even had the time to prepare for these kind of questions before the lockdown. And then they're stuck at home where it's really hard for them to explore some of this stuff. So a lot of it could have just been like, I don't want to say a ball dropped, but a lot of it could have just gotten lost in translation during the time period. Where they don't even know the answers to some of these questions, which is fair enough because there are so many, like you talked about, contradictions. There's tons of times where you're like, oh no, this is what it does. And they're like, yeah, but wait, with this new thing, now it doesn't do that anymore. And then now they have to try to figure out what works more often to make that ruling. Yeah. So there's a lot of weird stuff, which is probably really good that there aren't any big tournaments going on right now because, man, it would be a cluster with judge calls and missed triggers. It would legitimately be just from what we've seen previously, when people kind of knew the ruling going into a tournament, having lots of questions pop up, it would be a nightmare right now to have a tournament. It really would be. There would be so many things that would it'd be weird. It really would be.
No, I agree.
So, I just know that how bad it would be if you're about to ready to play and you're on the bubble to get into top 8 and you didn't understand how a trigger specifically happened because of some weird scenario and you lost the game because of it. Like, it'd be a huge deal. Right. So, yeah. It's one thing I got to be a little bit happy for. And then we get to spend this time to explore and figure all that stuff out. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of the things that I like when there's misplays on the channel and when we make them in games, because then it's like, oh, cool, and we get to learn from it. Whereas if we never saw it, then it would just go under the rug. Right? Yeah.
And to be perfectly honest, I do like when people point out when a misplay happened, as long as they point it out reasonably.
I don't know if you'll get that all the time, but
man, sometimes you people, I love you, but sometimes
the only thing that needs to stay is I need to continue to get my 1 thumbs down in all my YouTube videos. I don't feel like it's official until I get that one unnamed person who drops in there, gives me my thumbs down, and then leaves.
My bad. I tried to pick thumbs up, but I missed it.
Yeah, no, it's just their buttons are so close. I get it.
I'm on my phone, so
Oh yeah, I get it. Yeah. No, it's so funny, and like I'm pretty sure I know who it is, but it's absolutely amazing that like I'll drop the video, it goes, and I'll go to like see where it's at the second day or reply to comments, and then it's boom, that 1 thumbs down every video. My favorite. It's my favorite. So I just don't feel complete without it.
It's just like when you lose games by that 1 damage.
That 1 damage, I'm like, okay, cool. Now I remember I'm playing Transformers.
Yeah. 1 thumbs down.
That's what it is. I have to catch all the ones to match up all those 1 thumbs downs. Once they're balanced, we'll be fine again. I'm playing catch up.
Right.
I'll be curious to see if one other thing I seen some things, but I'm curious how other combiners will fare. I already know, like talking Predaking. I'm talking, aerial bots. Everyone knows my feelings on one other team. I'm pretty sure.
Well, we're gonna break those feelings.
Yeah, I know.
We're gonna shatter them open.
I know.
You're not gonna know how to feel.
I'm gonna be conflicted, heavily conflicted.
You guys are gonna see what I'm talking about. It's a matter of like getting the right video to be able to show it off is really what it is, because it's very specific, and I know there's gonna be a lot of chatter about it, so I want to make sure that I have everything answered within the video itself, so it doesn't get weird. So, anything else?
Oh, sorry. I wonder if Predacons actually might have some viable build space in this wave.
Man, the thing that kills him though is just fucking sabotage.
Yeah, sabotage armors wrecks him
and
hard.
hand-to-hand combat. What else? There's a lot of things you could do that be pretty brutal. The thing that sucks is you can't use all the master swords like I was planning with him.
Right.
Because you have more weapon slots, and it specifically says you have to have all your weapon slots full. So I can't have any shenanigans. Same with a living weapon. You can't load him up because he still has more weapon slots.
No, that's not entirely true.
Well, you have to, because it says you can put a weapon in your armor or utility. I don't know if that counts as available weapon slots or if it doesn't, because there is already a weapon in its weapon slot. Again.
There's another one we're talking, like right there. That's one of the rulings that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Or what was it? Disassemble.
Yeah.
Can you scrap a card from your hand?
Because that came up yesterday.
To draw, because it just says scrap a card.
Scrap an armor or weapon, draw a card.
Its owner draws a card. Reprocess, which is worded the same, except for it says scrap an upgrade from any character. It specifically says from a character.
Whereas disassemble does not.
It just says scrap.
It just says scrap.
Right.
Which you can scrap cards from your hand.
And
then I'll draw a card.
Yep.
So, because that's the name of
right.
When someone rips something out of your hand, they're scrapping cards out of your hand.
Yep. Which would make that card so much cooler. Not gonna lie. If I could discard a card and cycle, essentially, I'm all in for it. Because you still have to lose a card. I'm in.
Yeah.
All day.
But again, we don't know. We just don't know if that was the intention.
Right. They might have just missed the from a character.
Yeah. Which, and if they say no, it has to be on the battlefield, okay, it has to be on the battlefield. So now we know.
Right.
And that's fine. But if it's scrapping a weapon or an armor, its owner draws a card.
I like that so much. You're like, the Smashing Shield's been useless in my hand.
Yeah.
I'll just scrap it and draw
something else. Yeah.
Well, I'm in.
I'm going to scrap my Ghost Shield, flip my...
Jetfire, pick it back up. Oh my god, come on.
That's
See,
great.
I'm in.
Anyway, so I think there's a lot of potential in older waves, and I think people need to look at older waves. I think it's important to always remember that even though there's shiny stuff,
that's what it is.
There's shiny new stuff. The shiny the old stuff's still shiny. It's just
you just gotta repolish it.
You just gotta repolish it.
That piece of turd looks nice now.
Yeah, you can polish a turd. It is true.
You can polish a turd.
Yep. So
looking right at you, Jamie.